Hi, and welcome to Sky's Limit on the Treasure Coast. I'm Sam Ross, and welcome. I own a printing company right here on the Treasure Coast. We offer full-service printing and signs. You can give us a call at 772-340-1090. And today, I'm welcoming one of my customers, Matt McGarr with McGarr Insurance.
Hope you consider me a friend as well at this point.
Yes, you are. He does printing with us, and he's really, really good. Anyway, give us a little bit about your background and, what are you doing in the insurance business?
Sure thing. So I've been in St. Lucie County since 2003, and I went to college here. I went to IRSC, got a business degree, and actually got an internship with a State Farm agent.
Wow.
And that was how I got my toe into insurance. So for a year or so, I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, knew I wanted to own a business, but I wasn't sure which direction I would go. Pursued a couple of other things, dipped my toe in the water of a few different areas, but there came a point where I was like, hey, I like what I'm doing, I'm making a difference here, I am building relationships and knowledge in this industry, let me start an insurance agency. So started down the State Farm path because I was already working for a State Farm agent. Long story short, I decided to go independent. Independent agents have a little bit more leeway with like the types of policies they can write, people they can service, and I like that. So I joined an independent agency in 2018, state insurance agency in Palm City, and then in 2019 started McGarr Insurance. So we started in basically a broom closet.
Okay.
In off Prima Vista. My whole office was 180 square feet.
Nice.
And but it was all I needed at the time.
I started in my garage.
It was all I needed at the time. But so then we expanded, and so now we're on Port St. Lucie Boulevard. I've got much more room now. We've got a staff of 2, trying to bring a third one on, plus me would make 4, and we are growing explosively.
Well, let me ask you a couple of questions. So,
Sure.
Are you a business that only deals with one insurance company, or do you have a whole suite of different insurance companies to get a home or boat or car insurance?
The second one. So I'm an independent agent. I am not beholden to one insurance company. I am not beholden to them. I am beholden to you, the customer, and low prices. So on the home insurance side, I have 18 or 19 different companies. And then on the auto insurance side, I have 4. And then I also have options for, like you said, boat, motorcycle, RV, renters, umbrella, flood, some commercial, life, and health. So we have tons of options.
So what's going on with the insurance market right now? A lot of insurance companies are dropping people, and what are people going to do? I mean, what are you going to do that's going to help them get insurance?
Exactly. So I'm sure a lot of you guys watching this are probably nodding your head as he's speaking, and it is true. Insurance has been very volatile in Florida. And the main reason is there's a lot of things, and I'm not going to be able to cover them all here.
Of course.
But one of the biggest things is we have bad laws in Florida that allow contractors and lawyers to take advantage of insurance companies, and so that roof claim that should have only cost $15,000 ends up being a $700,000 claim, which is mostly going to the lawyers and the contractors. And that example is an actual example that happened with one of my carriers.
Okay.
So where does that extra $685,000 come from, right?
Right.
It comes in the form of rate increases. So it's not that insurance companies are laughing all the way to the bank with your premiums. No, they're bleeding. 8 out of 10 of my carriers lost money last year.
Wow.
It's not going into their pockets. It's going into the pockets of lawyers and contractors. And I hate to be the guy to pass the blame onto somebody else. But anyway, to answer the second part of your question, while I don't have control over the rates, what I do have control over is the fact that I can always requote you next year. Right. So people might have a $500, $700, $900 increase, unfortunately. They'll call me. I have 19 other companies. Oftentimes, I can find something lower for them. Or even if I can't, maybe we can talk about lowering your coverages or something like that. So more often than not, I do end up having some kind of option anyway.
So if you get a lower rate, are you losing insurance qualities of the insurance policy?
Sometimes. If you lower the coverage to get the lower rate, yeah. And that means we might have to lower your personal property coverage or lower your coverage on one of the other, endorsements or something like that. Sometimes, though, no. Sometimes I'm really just getting you apples to apples coverage. Sometimes I even get better coverage and get you a lower rate. So it could happen.
So what do people look when they're looking for, let's say, home insurance? What are they looking for that you're going to help them with as far as getting a good, decent insurance?
Most people are, I mean, there's no way around it. Price is the most important thing for most people, right?
Right.
So if you call me for a quote, first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to try to give you 3 different options at different levels of coverage.
Right.
And I'm going to do something that, unfortunately, lots of other agents don't do, which is I'm going to call you and I'm going to say, hey, here's what these coverages mean. Here's what's the difference between these 3 different quotes. And then I'm going to work with you to determine, based on your needs, what's the most important thing for you. And together we're going to come up with a policy that is going to fit your needs and your budget.
In Port St. Lucie, do you need flood insurance?
That's a great question.
Yeah, I know.
Do you need flood insurance? So a lot of people ask me or tell me, I'm not in a flood zone, so I don't need flood insurance.
Right.
If there's one thing I want you to take away from this, is that you are in a flood zone. If you are in Florida, the entire state of Florida is one big flood zone. The question then becomes, in which zone are you located? So when people say I'm not in a flood zone, what they usually mean is I'm not in a special flood zone, which is the one where the bank requires you to have flood insurance. That's the higher risk zone. But the rest of you are in what we call the X zone, X like X-ray.
Right.
That's the lower risk zone, but don't be fooled by the term lower risk, because 35% of the people who are in the lower risk zone, still, like 35% of the floods come from that lower risk zone. So just because you're not in a special flood zone does not mean you don't need flood insurance. And the more we develop the state of Florida, the smaller the natural floodplains get, and the more your house is likely to flood. So moving forward, and of course with more extreme weather events becoming more and more regular, the need for flood insurance is only going to go up.
There's a question I always ask myself or ask someone. Let's say, for instance, there is a flood, or I drive my car into a flood and the water gets in there and you're stuck and ruins the engine. Is that covered under the insurance?
On your auto insurance, it is covered under comprehensive coverage.
It is.
Yes. So there's 2 types of coverage on your car. There's collision, which is exactly what it sounds like, if you collide with or crash into another car. Then there's comprehensive, and the word comprehensive means like everything else, right?
Right.
So that's exactly what comprehensive coverage is for. So a flood is a good example. If you got your car stolen, that's another example.
Okay.
Someone keys your car. If you hit an animal, they consider that a comprehensive claim as well, and a number of things like that, though. So yes, to answer your
Keys
question.
your car? What do you mean keys?
Yeah, imagine someone scratches your car with a key, and now how much does it cost to replace that panel, right?
No, I understand
Yeah,
that. How do you know
that's-
it's a key? It's not somebody just drove by and hit your car with it, you know?
Yeah, I guess
It's tough.
I don't know, but I imagine, I'm not a claims adjuster. I imagine an adjuster will probably have a way to tell. You can kind of tell when somebody draws around it with a key, but that would be an example if it could be determined that it was a comprehensive claim. If someone swipes it, it would be a collision claim.
So here's the magic question. People always ask me, Sam, why should I come to Sky's Limit Printing? Why should people call Matt McGarr?
I'm glad you asked that. So the biggest thing for me is, I'm a strong believer that you shouldn't be in business just to profit, right? There should always be, at least for me, there is a higher reason for doing what I do and for getting up every day. And for me, that reason is empowerment. I want to empower my customers to get to cover their assets at a price they can afford.
Me too.
And that empowerment bleeds into everything that we do. And it's the reason that if you check our Google reviews, you'll see that our customer service is next to none. We go above and beyond. There's many situations where perhaps I'm not doing what is the most economical with my time, but I'm spending the extra time to help my customer out, because that's where I earn my money, you know, is not on the front end, it's on the back end, the support, the customer service, having systems in place and employees in place to make sure that the service that you receive from me is also what you receive from my team, you know. So I think the empowerment is a big
Well, I meet a lot of my customers. I deal with a lot of different types of business, and you seem, and I don't know you that long, but I know you long enough. You know, you've done some business with me, but you seem like a very honest, sincere kind of guy. And if I was going to get insurance with somebody, I would definitely come to you.
Well, I appreciate
Because you
that.
sound like you're very honest, you know. And you're right. I like the fact that it's not always about profit, but it's also helping the customer and trying to obtain whatever goals they have. And that's what you want to do.
Exactly. And I don't use that just for my customers.
Right.
I apply that to my employees.
Yep.
I want this job to be not just a paycheck to you. I want it to be a platform for personal and professional growth.
Right.
And we actually have ways in which we do that. We have a goal setting system that we use for professional goals. We also have a more informal, kind of fun, personal goal setting system.
Okay.
Every other month we do something, we're building up to goals, and then we celebrate them at the end. So
I got a great question for you. Here's another great question.
Okay.
Someone rents a car and they want to sell you insurance.
I get this one all the time.
Right? And a lot of people say, well, I don't need it because I have my own insurance. What's the deal with that? I mean, do we need to get insurance?
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
So your most of your coverages, your liability, your
Right.
comp and collision, they do extend from your main policy to the rental car.
Right.
But let's say you crash the car and now they have the car in the shop for 10 days and now they cannot rent it out to other people. They're losing profit, right?
Right.
They can charge you for that. So like the loss of profit or loss of use. Also, they'll tack on administrative fees, which I don't know. It's probably just fees that they can tack on because they can. That they'll charge you as well. So that loss of profit and those administrative fees, that's what you're protecting yourself against in the event.
So you're saying we should get insurance from them to cover ourselves anyway?
It depends on the value being offered.
Well, should I call you up and say, listen, I'm renting a car. Do I need to get insurance?
Then this is the conversation we have.
Right.
And then, I mean, it depends. If it's $1, yes. If it's $1,000, probably no.
No.
Somewhere in between,
Somewhere in
it's hard to
between.
decide.
Right.
With insurance, you have to decide the cost-benefit analysis.
Okay, and here's a couple of questions. So what kind of insurance do you cover? Like you have RV, you have
Yes.
boat, you have cars, motorcycles. Do you cover everything under one roof?
Yes, to all of
But
those.
a lot of people don't.
Correct.
They won't cover.
Right. Yes to all of those. And we also do a lot of life insurance.
Oh,
I have
there you
tons
go.
of life insurance carriers. I have one health insurance carrier. They're a good fit for some people, not for everybody. They're a good fit for you. I have that option. And as of this year, we've started getting more into commercial insurance.
Oh.
So I'm not knee deep into that yet, but I am starting. Yeah. So a good example of a business or a commercial that I can do would be like a hair salon or an accountant's office or an HVAC technician who needs general liability policy, or like if you need to do commercial auto for your HVAC van, you know. Those are some good examples. Probably even your store, like things like that that are pretty run of the mill. Nothing that's too like heavy into manufacturing.
Well, a lot of insurance brokers don't get into the business insurance. They won't deal with it for some reason. I don't know why.
It's a different ballgame, and that's the reason why even now, 6 years into my career, only this past year I've started. And you have to have the right carriers for it. You have to, and then once you have those carriers, there's the expectation that you're going to start producing with them. So it's not a light thing to do. You got to kind of be ready to dive into it. So that's why not all of them do it. But it's a good opportunity, which is why I'm starting to do it.
So, again, this is Matt McGarr with McGarr Insurance. His number is up on the screen. It's 772-335-0915. But before we wrap this up, is there anything you want to add to, what's going on in the insurance industry or something that people
I can think of something.
Yeah.
Back to flood insurance.
Right.
So if you're in the X zone...
Now, how do you find that out? How do you find out you're in the X zone or the Z zone? Or
you can ask me. There's also, if you Google like FEMA flood map, you should be able to find it yourself.
Go to FEMA. Okay.
Yeah, but there's up until recently, if you're in the X zone, the flood rates are very standard. It doesn't matter what your house looks like compared to mine. If we're in the same rate or same zone, we get the same rate.
Right.
That is no longer the case. They have this risk rating 2.0 thing that they're doing. And there's some hiccups, but I'm learning that it's a lot more granular. A lot of it has to do now with the details of the house. Is it frame versus masonry? If you're buying a house, the prior owner's flood policy may actually help you get additional credits. The way they've spun it is that we're going to see a minor increase for most people, but most people aren't seeing a major increase. But honestly, it's been kind of rocky because so far I've seen most of the premiums go way up. So we'll see how it develops. But that's something that's changing. And if you're buying a house in a special flood zone, it's a little bit more of a challenge now than it was even 2 months ago.
We forgot about the renters. Renters insurance is important too, right?
Yeah.
If you're renting an apartment or a house.
Exactly. So
forgot about
some
that.
people ask, like, well, if I'm renting an apartment or a house, I don't own the house. Why do I need insurance? Well, what if there's a fire and now everything you own, your television, your furniture, your bed, your couch, all of that's destroyed? what if you have a friend over and they slip and fall and crack their head on the corner of the table and they are in a coma and their family sues you for $400,000 or something like that? So renter's insurance will provide coverage at both of those scenarios.
Yeah, we can't forget about those renters. And one other question that I always ask. The question is like, I own a house, I have insurance, I fall down on my property.
You can't be liable to yourself.
Can't be liable to yourself. But if somebody comes on the property and visiting and they fall down or cut their finger, my insurance will cover that.
It could, right?
It could.
Right.
It depends on the circumstances.
Of course, right. And I'm not a claims adjuster, but yes, that's the type of scenario where you might see that happen.
I had a guy come and cut the tree down. I'm looking, he's 20 feet on the line. I'm going, don't fall, please.
See, now he should have some kind of professional coverage for that. This is more for things that are arising out of like personal acts.
So my fence gets blown down in a hurricane, is that covered under insurance?
Yes, that's covered under coverage
and the roof.
B, which is other structures, and the roof will be covered under the.
So you know now,
dwelling.
you know now about all these different things about insurance. So who are you going to call? So Matt, give a shout out and tell them how to get in touch with you, where you located. Are you have regular hours now and things like that?
Yes, we're located on Port St. Lucie Boulevard near the Turnpike, 493 Southwest Port St. Lucie Boulevard. And yeah, you can get in touch with us. My number is on the screen, 772-335-0915. My email, and you go to our website, McGarRinsurance.com. And yeah, we're
Facebook?
Yep, if you find us on Facebook, you search
Instagram?
McGarr Insurance.
Not yet?
Instagram yet.
LinkedIn?
No. Well, I have a LinkedIn, but
those are two good ones too.
They are. There's always more we could be doing.
You have to get a silly kid to sit there and do that all day.
I know. I don't want to be that silly kid. I have someone manage my Facebook. I don't even want to do that.
Oh, great. Well, listen, I really enjoyed having you on the show today. It was really a lot of fun, and we learned a lot about insurance. It's a really, really cool topic. A lot of people live in Florida, and they're very confused. And I'm sure you'll take the time and before trying to just sell them a policy to try to figure out what's good for them.
Exactly, right? So if you have additional questions, call me, and I'm happy to speak to you one-on-one. And absolutely, thanks for having me on.
Hey, no problem, man. Don't forget, 772-335-0915. And don't forget to call Sky's Limit at 340-1090. If you want to be on the show, get in touch with me again at 772-340-1090. Thanks a lot, Matt.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Great.